Hello there. Welcome back to Tales from Tosche Station. Well, if you guys come to my channel over this month, you're going to see me in this garb or something pretty close to it. Either this hat and this sweater or this hat and another sweater. Just depends. Anyways, we have got Star Wars to talk about, and that would be new episode of the Skeleton Crew that came out, ladies and gentlemen. So far, I'm really enjoying this series. I'm enjoying the story that it's telling. I'm enjoying the characters. I'm enjoying everything about it. And I don't think I'm the only person that shares that sentiment around the Star Wars fandom. So, without any further ado, let's get into this thing. Hey, Chewie, do me a favor. Punch this thing. Let's get into it. All right, let's get into it. So, the opening shot that we see is a shot of At Attin, the school, the administrative building, and something in the distance that I want to point out is we see two antennas, which I think might form the gas barrier around um the planet, or part of the system that forms the gas barrier around the planet that keeps it hidden. As we then see the parents of the kids trying to figure out if the safety droids will be able to bring them back, as the safety droid comes back in and tells them that their kids managed to make it off world, as they demand to see the supervisor, and the safety droid essentially says that they're not going to be able to see the supervisor. Not going to be able to see the supervisor. It's just not going to happen. I think this character is going to be someone we know of from the Clone Wars. I think it would be pretty funny if it was Hondo or somebody like that, but I don't think it is. I honestly think that this planet is a separatist experiment that they started after the Clone Wars, which is funny, which I'll talk about later. So we then see the kids in Port Borgo with Captain Silvo, and yes, that's what I'm gonna call him because I'm a huge Treasure Island fan, the books and the movies. And that's just what I'm gonna call him. Or I just might call him Jude Law. Who knows? And we see them escaping, making their way out, as we see Silvo uses basic force techniques to kind of just throw stuff in the distance, mind tricks and people, and as they get out of there. I think. Well, no, I'll get to that point. I'll get to that in a minute. We see them get back to the ship, and the kids are wanting to go back for SM-33, or Shmi, as I'm probably gonna call them. And they get to a back and forth with Fern and Silvo, and he basically says, "Well, I'm a Jedi. I don't leave anyone behind." And then Fern says, "Well, go get the Jordan." He says, "Well, the Jordan's not a person." And then they kind of catch him in a lie, and he ends up going to get him. As he goes to get SM-33, there's a few droid cameos. The one of which I really enjoyed was the battle droid. As he gets SM-33, they start to leave, and he gets accosted by a character voiced by none other than Alfred Molina. As we see this, they have this back and forth where Alfred Molina's character basically says he should alert the captain of what's going on. Captain Silver says, no, that's not that. We don't worry about that. It's fine. He insists, and then everything breaks loose. He goes. Captain Silver takes SN-33 back to the ship as they're attacked by pirates. Once they're back on the ship, Captain Silvo tries to get them loose, and he finds out that they're still stuck to the fuel line. So he just takes off into hyperspace while still connected to the gas line. And once they jump to hyperspace, they disconnect. The gas line disconnects, and it destroys part of the port as they get away. And as they head out, they are headed to a moon. They're headed to a moon to meet a contact of Captain Silvo's by the name of Kim, as she calls him, Crimson Jack, as Captain Silvo tells her that they're from At Attin, and this is the part that gets interesting to me. We hear that At Attin is the jewel, or one of the jewels of the Old Republic. By that, I mean that there were 5 planets, all destroyed, 5 or 6 planets, all destroyed except this one. And we see this from a old Republic map. It looks like an ancient Arabesh. There's some ancient Arabesh on it. We also see the same mural that we see from episode 1 as Kim starts to use symbols and emblems on Fern's backpack and a few other things to essentially narrow down where this place is. And a few interesting things here. The kids don't know about either the Galactic Civil War or the Clone Wars, which I find very interesting. That's how sheltered that they are. They weren't taught about the wars, which I think is interesting. I don't think that was by mistake. I think that was by design, and we're gonna get more info on it later on in the series. And Kim puts two and two together, and figures out that the gases that surround the planet are what's keeping it from being discovered. And she finally narrows it down, gets the coordinates, and while she's doing this, she called a couple of X-Wings to come and find the kids and Captain Silvo. As she's trying to stall, Captain Silvo figures out what she's doing, and then he takes the coordinates, shoots the nav computer, and they leave. As they're about to get on the ship, Fern and KB confront Captain Silvo and essentially confront him and say, "Who are you? What are you doing here? Like, give us a straight answer." As he tells them that he's just like them, he's lost and doesn't know what he's doing, and that gets them to trust him for now. And I'll get into Captain Silvo here in a second. As we get a really good escape scene with all of them finally working together, with Fern and Wim as the gunners, KB is the engineer, and Captain Silvo and Neil, funny enough, are the pilots. As they manage to get away, and the X-Wings ask Kim where they're going, and she tells them, "You wouldn't believe me if I told you." And they use the same effect from the first episode where the dust is settling in space before they use that to go straight into the credits, which I think is a great effect. They need to keep using that more. It's just a great visual, and I think it just makes a lot of sense for the story they're trying to tell. Now, that's the episode, but let's talk about Captain Silvo here. Let's talk about Jude Law's character. So I find him very interesting, and his name is not a coincidence. He's Long John Silver. That's the character. That's who the character is. And if you guys haven't seen Treasure Island, read the books, or seen Treasure Planet, Long John Silver is a pirate with a heart of gold. He starts out as a scoundrel, as a villain, and ends up becoming a good guy by the end of the story. And I think that's what's happening here. I think Jude Law's character isn't a scoundrel at all. He's just putting on a bit of a front. I think he actually does have a heart of gold and does care about these kids. I think he's going to have a change of heart by the end of the series. I think he truly wants that big score that he's always talked about. And At Attin is his ticket out. But I think the further along we get in this story, the more and more we're going to see him care for the kids. Because I think Wim actually is. I think Wim is actually Jim Hawkins from Treasure Island. I think that's what they're going for with those two. And by the end of the series, Wim's going to be out and about the galaxy. But overall, I'm really enjoying this show so far. I'm really enjoying the story they're telling. The characters have me. I mean, Neil's great, Wim's great. I love Captain Silvo. KB's pretty cool. Fern, something. I think she's playing hard, but I think she's actually a bit of a pushover. So I think I just can't wait to see how these characters progress throughout the show, and I really want to know more about At Attin. Something isn't right about this treasure island, about this treasure planet, as it were. Something's not right here, and I want to know more. Something's fishy. Something screwy is going on here, and I really want to know more. So, what do you guys think At Attin is? Do you think it's a separatist social experiment, or you think they've been there longer? What do you guys think? So, let me know in the comments. What do you guys think? What do you guys think about the show, the characters, the story they're telling? Let's talk about it. So, until next week, may the force be with you.